Do you find that the information, the recipes, and the knowledge that you provide is in conflict with the information that patients or clients get from, other health professionals or hospitals, or are you kind of tracking the same way?
It's actually quite different. So medically, I think we're told that we can't reverse allergies or, wait and see, hopefully things will get better. I think what they do well is, they help the patient survive. So they, the challenges, are necessary if you're dealing with anaphylaxis, I guess. But it's, I think it's very limited. And so my message is the body is not supposed to be reacting to things that are safe, like dairy, gluten, and nuts, or pollen or dust. That suggests that it's common, but it's not normal. And it suggests that things are not quite right and there's probably inflammation. And if we heal that inflammation, there's a very good chance that we can live in harmony with our environment and we can then start eating these foods again, but without reacting. And that's a very different message to what mums are given. And I think it's a much more empowering message that I share. I think there's nothing more disheartening for a mother to hear that there's nothing they can do for their child, or this is what life is going to be like, because it is, Lisa, you'll know, it's incredibly stressful and incredibly terrifying. So to be told things like, oh, sit and wait, or, it might get better, let's do a challenge in 6 months, it's very defeating.
The way you work, because of the terminology you describe yourself as, is that you're working in a very close relationship with your client. And I guess that's kind of different to the medical model. What's the benefit of that?
I think there's a gap here to support parents and families. So you've got the practitioners that can give the brilliant direction, they can do the testing, they can provide the supplements or the medication, but then you've got what's happening at home. So I'm a real believer that you can get the direction from the expert, but we're at home 99% of the time. So, you can sit with the doctor for an hour or 10 minutes, or a naturopath, you'll get a wonderful hour consult initially. But there's no real advice of how you can get stuff done at home. How do you cook meals that are dairy and gluten-free, for example, or nut-free or egg-free? How can you make sure that your kids eat it, because they're generally fussy eaters? How can you get more fruit and vegetables that are really going to prime that immune system when they won't go anywhere near it? How can you sneak all this stuff in? How can we clean up the environment at home? So the practitioners don't really have the time for that, but a health coach does, and they can really handhold you in that journey. And I think with Lisa, I reckon we only had about 4 or 6 consults. It was minimal. So it's not even a massive investment of time or investment to work with a health coach. Nowadays, because my business has expanded so much, I have courses, so I don't work one-on-one anymore, but those courses I've got a course that's 10 hours in length. It's called Raising Kids with Allergies. It explains everything that you need to do at home. And I think that's the missing gap, is what do we do at home to heal?
Well, excellent segue. Thank you. I just wanted to build a bit of context around what you do so we can understand Lisa's story a little bit more. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
And
Hi, Lisa.
what's your son or daughter's name?
So my daughter's Olivia.
Olivia,
and
right?
Olivia, and she's 19 now. And we basically she's had this anaphylactic like reaction to nuts since we discovered at the age of 18 months.
When she had the first anaphylactic episode, how old was she?
So she was 2. We were at a party, and she was just sitting on my husband's lap, and he was eating peanuts, and then he kissed her, and he gave her a little peanut to eat, and as soon as he kissed her, her face started swelling, and it didn't dawn on me. And then I actually realized, oh my gosh, she's having an anaphylactic attack. So I called an ambulance and we took her to hospital. And yeah, they said they gave her Zyrtec instantly. I never carried any of that with me because I was unaware of allergies at the time, and so I gave her a Zyrtec, and that settled it down. And they gave her an EpiPen, and yeah, so that was our introduction to the world of allergy.
Oh, how scary. What a thrown
Yeah,
into the deep water straight away.
yeah, it was very scary.
Did Olivia have another anaphylactic reactions along the line?
Yes, she did. She did have another anaphylactic reaction. There was a cake that had peanut in it that she wasn't aware of when she was at a friend's house, and she had a reaction. Luckily, she had a EpiPen on her, and it was only a 5-minute drive from my house. So I went and administered the EpiPen, called an ambulance, and yeah, she was okay. We had 2 EpiPens that day, and we spent 8 hours in hospital just to monitor, but then she was okay.
Okay, so you went to the medical specialist, the pediatric specialist, who advised you
Yep.
not to eat nuts.
Mhm.
And was that, how did the story develop from there? What happened next?
I came across Sharon, and she was a guest on there, and what she was talking about with her son resonated with me, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I need to get hold of this lady. She's
Right.
amazing. So that's how I made contact with Sharon.
And so you had a chat with Sharon, and Olivia was present, I presume. And so how was the first meeting? Did what she had to say shock you, or did you feel that Sharon's paradigm of what she offered made sense to you?
It made complete sense to me. Healing the gut made complete sense to me.
So what did healing the gut involve?
Well, basically, cutting out, you know, suspects like dairy, wheat, gluten, sugar, excess sugar. You know, we still had fruits and things like that, but just items that, you know, I think basically triggered inflammation of the gut.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the thing, Daniel, is when many people work with me, they'll say, oh no, I don't have an allergy to dairy or gluten or something. It's only to nuts or eggs. But it's having some of these foods that can be quite inflammatory on the gut that makes us sensitive to other foods, even things like, you know, apples and bananas, you know, or salicylate foods or histamine foods. So it's with you, Lisa. Actually, I remember when Lisa contacted me, I said, I love your intention of wanting to heal your daughter, but she's 16, 17 years old. She has to be on board. And remember, I said, there's nothing we can do. She has to choose this.
100%. Yeah.
Do you remember that? And then you were like, okay, let me check. And then I had a chat with your daughter, and she was like, yes, I'm really into this. And I was so impressed by her and how much she wanted to do this. And I think the reason Lisa was so successful is because they did it as a family. You can't fool your kids. You cannot tell your kids to take out certain foods and then you have it. And so when I work with patients like Lisa on my course, it's what can we add in the diet? So it's not the focus, not only just on what are we taking out, because that's very confronting, because, you know, things like dairy and gluten, they're our biggest food groups. Our kids love those types of foods, the flour, the sugar, anything white. So we want to just try and sneak in, take those foods out to relieve the inflammation a little bit, but then also start sneaking in more nutrients and doing that in a really delicious, easy, accessible way.
Yeah, you were completely on the money. It's about making sure people feel that they have lots of options and therefore they have control themselves. And that's really important.
I think actually, having worked with so many people, like thousands of people now, that mums are quite surprised, because normally mums that I work with, I think there's a belief that this is going to be so hard. So a lot of mums don't try, but the ones that do are generally quite surprised how simple, delicious, and actually how accommodating the kids will be if we don't apply stress and pressure to them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Kids are more able to cope than we give them credit for.
And I do get that, because mums are so challenged in these situations. So add in another challenge like, oh, let's just change up the diet a little bit. I mean, that's a huge thing to do, but it's not actually. So depending on when I work with people, it's either like, how bad are the symptoms? How hard do we have to go? And what are you prepared to take on? Because there's not one way of doing this. You can take a slow, gentle approach. Let's just transform breakfast, then move on to the next meal when we're happy with that. Well, let's just mix up the snacks. Then we have some mums, and Lisa, you were a bit like that, where it's like, we just want to make all the change right up front as much as we can. So I think that's the beauty of a health coach as well, is they'll meet you where you're at.
So, Lisa, let's talk about results. How
Yeah.
long did you start to see a change, and what was that change after your dietary change at home?
So with Olivia, she had anxiety, so it assisted her anxiety. She was constantly bloated in her stomach, and that sort of disappeared. And then the big transformation was with the allergy. It was also when we, it was just ironic that we had a visit to our allergist in, did the skin prick test on Olivia, and he said, "Oh," he goes, "I think she's her reduction, reducing, her welts are reducing, and so maybe we could do a hospital challenge." And I said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And Olivia, with her anxiety, was not, "Mum, I don't want to do it." I said, "Come on." So they actually, we got in. I think it was about 3 weeks after the initial visit, because there was a cancellation, and so we went to hospital. She started out with eating just a quarter of a nut, and the build up, and she eventually ate 8 almonds that day. And I had tears in my eyes. I was just dumbfounded and she was in disbelief, like being told she could never eat nuts, to eating 8 almonds and not having an anaphylactic attack. It was incredible. Yeah.
So how long did that take from when you saw or installed Sharon's program until that day?
I think it was probably about 3 months.
3
3
months.
months.
Sorry,
It was incredible. 3
Amazing.
months.
That is a
Yeah.
wonderful result, wonderful
Yeah.
outcome. Yeah, look, I'm sure you still have a little tear in your eye when you think about it now.
Oh, it was incredible. And now she even eats, we did a macadamia challenge a year after that, and she can eat macadamia and almonds now. So almonds have been life-changing, because we use it constantly now. Almond milk's all we have now. And yeah.
It's just incredible how healing the body is. It's designed to thrive.
Yeah, how forgiving it can be.
And how forgiving it can be, and also how incredibly powerful our mums are.
Well, look, no doubt that diet can impact everything from psychological health, mental health, and physiological health. So
Absolutely.
thank you. That is a really reassuring story. I'm very grateful, Lisa, that you found some time to have a chat to us. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
And I hope
Thank you.
people learn and hear this and learn what they can do. Sharon, you are a wonder. How do people get in touch with you?
Oh, that's so nice.
How do people get in touch with you?
How do they get in touch? Deliciouslyallergyfree.com is my website. I'm so passionate about this work. So there's free resources on there. I do free cooking classes online. And then if you want to, do what Lisa did, there's various memberships and courses as well. But yeah, get in touch, because there is so much more you can do at home. And, we say allergies, but it's, all of those atopic conditions, allergies, eczema, reflux, hay fever. That's what mums are reversing, in this community.
Yeah.